everybody, welcome to Kids Reading with Cami. First, we're going to start off with A is for Awesome by Eva Chen. Hi, I'm Juno. There's a whole world of inspiring she-heroes out there. Here are some of my favorites. Ready for some adventure? Let's go! A is for the awesome aviator Amelia Earhart, the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic. The stars seemed near enough to touch, and never before have I seen so many. Don't try to lessen yourself for the world. Let the world catch up to you. B is for Beyonce, singer, songwriter, actress, producer, and all-around queen bee. C is for ever chic Coco Chanel, designer and OG girl boss. In order to be irreplaceable, one must always be different. D is for Dorothy Hodgkin, a crystallographer who won the Nobel Prize for succeeding in the impossible. E is for the defiant suffragette Emmeline Pankhurst, who helped women win the right to vote. We are here not because we are lawbreakers. We are here in our efforts to become lawmakers. F is for the flamboyant and fierce Flo Jo, the fastest woman of all time. When anyone tells me I can't do anything, I'm just not listening anymore. G is for the groundbreaking artist Georgia O'Keeffe, mother of the modernist art movement. To create one's world in any of the arts takes courage. H is for Harriet Tubman, the brave abolitionist who helped hundreds of slaves to freedom. I was the conductor of the Underground Railroad for 8 years, and I can say what most conductors can't say. I never ran my train off the track, and I never lost a passenger. I is for fashion legend Iris Apfel, who proves that your own style is the best style of all. When you don't dress like everybody else, you don't have to think like everybody else. J is for chef and author Julia Child, whose zest for French cooking inspired millions. Learn from your mistakes, be fearless, and above all, have fun. K is for Katharine Graham, the formidable first female publisher of the Washington Post. Courage is when you have a choice and you choose to be courageous. L is for Lucille Ball, comedic genius and the first woman ever to run a major television studio. M is for Malala, whose rallying cry for equality and education was heard around the world. When the whole world is silent, even one voice becomes powerful. N is for the tempestuous and talented Nina Simone, singer, songwriter, and activist. I'll tell you what freedom is to me. No fear. O is for Oprah, self-made television icon, philanthropist, role model, the list goes on. I wish you curiosity and confidence, and I wish you ethics and enlightenment. I wish you guts. P is for Pat McGrath, makeup maestro and businesswoman. Creativity is the most important skill. Don't be scared to experiment. Q is for Queen Elizabeth I, whose quick wit, strategy, and tenacity brought a golden age to England. I am not afraid of anything. R is for Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Supreme Court Justice and the Queen of Dissent. Fight for the things that you care about, but do it in a way that will lead others to join you. S is for Sagawa, intrepid interpreter and guide for Lewis and Clark's historic expedition. T is for rock and roll superstar Tina Turner, who holds the record for the most concert tickets sold by a single performer. I believe that if you just stand up and go, life will open up for you. U is for Ursula K. Le Guin, prolific and prize-winning science fiction author. We read books to find out who we are, what we ourselves are and may become. V is for Venus, Roman goddess of beauty, love, and victory. W is for Wu Zetian, the one and only female emperor in Chinese history. And X, Y, and Z are for extraordinary you and the zillions of brilliant, brave adventures you will have. The end. Leo the Glob by Stephen Cosgrove. In a warm, gentle corner of a soft green forest, a whole bunch of bunnies were born. There were so many baby rabbits, you almost wouldn't believe it. There were white ones, brown ones, even some with spots, and every one of them had a little pink nose, fluffy white tail, and 2 pointed ears that stood straight up in the air. All of them, that is, except Leo the Lop. Now, it wasn't that Leo didn't have a little nose or a fluffy tail, for he did. What he didn't have were ears that stood straight up in the air. Instead of standing up, they hung straight down. That really didn't matter to Leo because he thought he was just as normal as could be. Besides, he couldn't see his ears anyway. Day by day, as the rabbits got older, they began to notice that Leo was slightly different. The more they looked at him, the funnier it seemed. It got so bad that the entire burrow of bunnies would roll on the ground, holding their sides in fits of laughter every time Leo walked by. You've got to admit that a rabbit walking around with his ears dragging in the dirt is pretty funny. Now, Leo was very confused. He didn't see anything so funny about the way he looked. His fur was the same, his tail was the same. As far as Leo was concerned, he was perfectly normal. Finally, out of frustration, he asked, "How come you guys are always laughing at me?" For a moment, the other rabbits tried to be serious, but they just couldn't hold back the laughter. One of the rabbits finally blurted out, "Your ears, you dope, they hang on the ground. You just aren't normal." Leo looked down, and sure enough, there were his ears dangling in the dirt. I guess Leo was kind of hurt. He really didn't feel any different than the other rabbits, but because his ears hung down instead of up, he just wasn't normal. He thought, all I need is to exercise a little bit, and my ears will stand up just like all the normal rabbits. So with that in mind, he struggled and strained, trying to make them stand up. Unfortunately, the best he could do was to get them to stick straight out, and he could only do that for a minute. Then, no matter how hard he tried, they would flop back to the ground in a puff of dust. Well, thought Leo, that didn't work. Maybe if I show my ears which way to go, they'll get the idea and go there on their own. Very carefully, he climbed a tree, and after cautiously hooking his hind legs around the branch, he dangled over upside down. Sure enough, his ears hung straight down. Don't do this at home, kids. Leo must have hung that way for nearly an hour when a voice made him look around. "What you doing that for?" spoke the voice. Leo looked down and around, and right before him, hanging from another branch, was a possum. "Well," said Leo, feeling a little foolish, "I'm hanging upside down so my ears will learn which way they're supposed to go, so I can be a normal rabbit." "What's normal?" asked the possum. "Before, when I saw you on the ground, your ears looked normal. Now they look upside down." Leo thought, and he didn't have an answer. So with a flip, he dropped to the ground. He thought, if my ears going down are normal, then the other rabbits with their ears going up aren't normal. The more he thought about the other rabbits, the funnier it became. With a laugh and a giggle, he raced off to tell them what he had discovered. In bursts of laughter, he told the other rabbits what he had found out. At first they didn't know whether to believe him, and then they started to look at one another and realized that Leo could be right. "Oh dear, what are we going to do?" they cried. "I've got an idea," said one of the other rabbits. He picked up 2 big rocks, and with some twine, he tied them to the ends of his ears. Sure enough, with all that weight, his ears began to droop, lower and lower, until they began to reach the ground. Seeing his success, the other rabbits ran around picking up the rocks and tying them to their ears. Everything would have been all right, except for one small problem. The rocks and ears kept getting all tangled up in tails and feet, till all was confusion, with bunnies lying in dusty heap. "This isn't going to work," they said. "There's got to be a better way." "Maybe," said a furry little bunny, "if we showed our ears the way they should be normally, they would go that way naturally." So they all very carefully climbed a tree, and after tying their ears to a branch, they gently hooked their legs and swung over, hanging upside down. Sure enough, every one of those bunnies hung up instead of down. They must have hung that way for a long time when a voice made them look around. "What you doing that for?" asked the voice. They looked, and right before them, hanging from a branch, was that very same possum. "Well," they said, feeling a little dumb, "we're hanging this way so that our ears will be normal like Leo's." "What's normal?" asked the possum. "Before, when I saw you all on the ground, your ears looked normal. Now they just look upside down." They all thought, and they couldn't answer that question either. Carefully, they untied their ears and flip-flopped to the ground below. The rabbits thought and thought. If we're normal, and Leo is normal, then normal is whatever you are. With a hop and a giggle, they raced off to tell Leo what they had learned. After listening to their story, Leo had to agree that normal is whatever you are, and from that day forward, the rabbits of the burrow lived very normal lives in the soft, warm forest. So if you are a rabbit, and your ears go up or down, try to remember Leo and the lesson that he found. Leo did still have one problem. His ears always drooped in his soup. The end. Leo the Lop, Tale 2 by Stephen Cosgrove. In the midst of twilight wonder, when evening shadows gently glide from branch to branch, all of the creatures of the forest softly begin to fall asleep. Squirrels doze, warmly wrapped in their soft furry tails. Fawns, exhausted after frolicking in the meadows, sleep contentedly, nestled near their parents. Birds of all feathers nod gently on the branches of the trees, eyes blinking, hoping to dream of beautiful flight. In a burrow beneath the twisted pine, fluffy bunnies of all sorts snore and sniff quietly in their slumber. All of the rabbits, that is, except one lop-eared rabbit called Leo, who just couldn't fall asleep. He would twitch and pitch, trying desperately to fall asleep, but no matter how he tried, he couldn't forget the one thing that kept him awake. He was a tiny, cute rabbit. "Why couldn't I have been born a tough tiger?" he muttered, as he rolled over for the 100th time. "A bad bear, a mean muskrat, anything but a itty-bitty fluffy bunny." Finally, with a sob, Leo rolled over and fell into a troubled sleep. It seemed to Leo that he had been dreaming for just a moment when, like the crash of a cymbal, the sun brought the beginning of a new day. He slowly rubbed the sleep from his eyes, yawned once, stretched twice, and finally tumbled from his soft bed of moss. "Oh, what am I going to do?" he mumbled as he looked into the mirror. "I don't want to be cute anymore. I want to be rough and rugged and brave." With that, he squinted his eyes, scrunched his nose, and looked just as tough as he could. Satisfied that he didn't look quite as cute, Leo brushed his teeth and hurried off to the creature school. Leo ran just as fast as his little legs could carry him through the twisted trail until he reached the clearing in the wood that served as the classroom. As usual, he was just a little bit late. As he hurried to sit down, the squirrels giggled, the little birds twittered, and all the creatures smiled because Leo was still trying to look rough, tough, and mean. All the creatures were laughing except the old brown owl, who sat on a branch at the head of the class. Muttered the old owl as he covered a smile. "Now that everyone is here, we'll begin the lesson for the day. I would like each of you to think of a word that best describes the way you look this morning." All the creatures thought and thought. Then one by one they each stood and told the old owl the word they thought of. "We look feathery," chirped the bird. "I look brawny," rumbled the bear. And on they went, describing how they felt in a single word. They finally came to Leo. Leo took a deep breath, looked carefully about him, and then blurted out quickly, "I look brave." There was a moment of silence. Then the forest glade rang with laughter. Even the owl couldn't hide a smile. I don't see anything funny about me being grave," cried a very hurt and angry Leo. "Well, Leo," the old owl chuckled, "perhaps fluffy or cute would have been better described how you look." Leo wiped at a furry tear as he shouted, "I don't want to be fluffy or little anymore. I want to be tough and rugged." Once all the creatures broke into fits of laughter. Leo stood for just a moment, tears streaming from his eyes, and then rushed into the forest. He wandered the forest for hours and hours. "What do I have to do?" he said to himself. "Maybe if I shaved off all my fur, or lifted weights or something." Leo gazed into the calm waters of a stream and made ugly, tough faces, but even these couldn't make him forget the words cute and fluffy. So he kept wandering farther and farther into the forest. As the other creatures frisked about the forest glade, doing their daily chores, a wisp of smoke snaked about the boughs of a tree and climbed toward the sky. A gray squirrel sat on his haunches, sniffing at the afternoon air. "I smell smoke, but it's probably just a campfire," he thought as he continued on his way. By dusk, though, the wisps of smoke had turned into billowing clouds. Suddenly, all around the clearing, flames shot high into the air. All the creatures began running about, packing up their nests, dashing here and there in absolute pandemonium. "Fire! Fire!" they shouted. The old brown owl fluttered to the ground in the center of the glade and shouted, "Now everybody, just slow down and don't panic." The animals gathered around as the owl continued, "We must all be as calm as possible, or someone will get hurt. Now, is everyone here?" They all looked around, and then someone shouted, "Yes, it looks like we're all here. All of us, that is, except for that little rabbit Leo." The owl thought for a moment and then said, "We'll have to hope that he's outside the fire area. Now we must leave and move to safety." They all looked around the clearing, but smoke was so thick that no one could see which way to go. Lee had been moping at the far edge of the forest when he saw the columns of smoke. "Oh no," he said, "that fire looks like it's burning right in the middle of the clearing where I live." He wondered for a moment about what he should do, then rushed off towards the fire. He ran and ran until he ran out of breath, and then he ran some more. Finally, he reached the edge of the smoke and flames that enclosed the clearing where he lived. To his dismay, he could find none of his friends. "Oh dear," he thought, "they must be trapped inside." Without a second thought for his own safety, he crouched real low to the ground and began to follow the path into the clearing through the thick gray smoke. Leo finally reached the center of the clearing where all the creatures were searching for a way out of the inferno. "Quickly," shouted Leo, "everybody hold hands and follow me." Leo looked so sure of himself and so unafraid that everyone followed him without question, and they were led carefully through the heavy smoke and towards safety. Finally, they reached the safety of a hill on the far side of the forest, away from the fire. All the animals gathered around Leo, cheering and shouting. "Well," said the owl, "I certainly was wrong about you and your chosen word. For today, you were certainly brave." "No," said Leo, blushing deeply. "If it had not been for the fact that I was small, I would never have been low enough to the ground to see the trail into the clearing. I guess being cute and furry doesn't mean you can't be brave." With that, the other animals cheered Leo the brave and Leo the lion-hearted, and continued their cheering far into the night. So, if you're cute and furry, or even if you're not, remember Leo the lion-hearted and the lesson that he got. The end. Leo the Lock, Tale 3 by Stephen Cosgrove. The snow fell lightly and brought the quiet hush of winter to the forest. With each passing day, more and more snow fell until everything was covered in a soft and gentle blanket. The creatures of the forest were nestled warmly in their beds, sleeping away the cares of winter and dreaming of a warm summer morning. All of the creatures, that is, except for a fuzzy, flop-eared rabbit named Leo, who was bored stiff. It wasn't that Leo wasn't always bored, but with the coming of winter, he had to stay indoors more and more because it was cold and wet outside. Leo searched in vain for something to do. He dug out a musty old game and tried to play it by himself. Now, we all know that playing a game by yourself sometimes can be really boring. So sadly, he put the game away. Leo tried making funny faces in the mirror, but even that didn't make him happy. "There's nothing to do," he sighed to himself, "and I'm so bored." "I know," he shouted in glee, to no one in particular. "I'll go outside and find somebody to play with." With that, he wrapped himself up in his favorite scarf, put on his mittens, and dashed happily out into the snow. He looked and looked and could find no one to play with. "Where is everybody?" he thought. Then suddenly it dawned on him. "They must have gone to sleep for the winter. Well, I'll just have to go wake them up." So he hopped through the fluffy drifts of snow. Leo slipped and slid over to the old weathered oak tree and carefully climbed to a crook on the main branch. There, just as he remembered from last summer, was the hole where the squirrels lived. He knocked softly on the tree and quietly said, "Oh, squirrels, wake up! It's boring out here and I want to play with someone." He listened very carefully, but the only thing he heard was soft snoring and someone mumbling in their sleep. "They probably didn't hear me," Leo thought. "Come on, squirrels," he shouted as he pounded on the tree. "It's time to wake up and play." Well, the squirrels heard him that time, for Leo could hear them rustling and grumbling and muttering. "What's going on?" yawned a sleepy and very upset squirrel as he joined Leo on the limb. "I was bored," said Leo with a big smile on his face. "So I thought I'd wake you guys up and we could play some games or something." The squirrel looked at him in disbelief. "You woke us up so that you could play some stupid game?" he shouted. With a puff and a snort, he shoved Leo off the tree and sent him flying into the snowbank below. "Silly rabbit, go find someone else to play with. It's cold outside and we need our sleep." With a yawn and a stretch, he shuffled back into the house, into the warm comfort of the tree. Leo sat in the snow for a moment or two as he tried to understand what had happened. Dumb old squirrel, probably got up on the wrong side of the bed. He looked around trying to figure out what else he could play with, when suddenly he spied a flock of little birds flitting about. "Hi, birds!" he shouted. "I'm bored and don't have anything to do. Do you want to play?" The birds landed on a branch right above Leo and looked at him cautiously. "Are you kidding?" they said. "We're looking for food and you want to know if we want to play? You must be nuts." And with that, they flew away in a flutter of frustration. Leo was becoming very confused. He was bored. There was nothing to do and no one to do it with, even if he could find something to do. "Oh, pooh," he grumbled as he kicked the snow out of his way. He wandered about aimlessly for hours and hours, looking in vain for something to do when the winter's silence was broken by a voice out of nowhere. "Who are you, and what are you doing?" Leo turned around, trying to find who had spoken, and finally he looked up into the snowy branches and saw an old owl. "My name is Leo," he sighed, "and I was so bored staying up in my den that I thought I would wake somebody up to play with. The squirrels were too tired and the birds were too busy, and I'm bored still." The owl thought for a moment or two, and then quietly said, "Did you ever stop to think that maybe you could play by yourself and have just as much fun?" Leo scratched his ear with his big, thumpy foot and sputtered, "But there's nothing to do, and no one to share things with." "Well, there's lots of things to do," said the owl, "and after you've done them, come the spring and you can tell all your friends about your marvelous winter fun." "Well, I'll try," said Leo as he started to walk away. Suddenly, with a smile on his face, he turned and asked, "Do you want to play?" "No, Leo. I, too, have to find food to eat, and you must learn to entertain yourself." And with that, the owl flew away, leaving Leo sitting in the snow all alone. "Well," he sighed, "I guess I've got to try." And try he did. He walked all over the forest looking for something to do, but there didn't seem to be anything there. He walked up the hills through the heavy snow, searching and searching. "I'm getting tired of hopping through the snow. Maybe I'll just slide down the hill and go home." He sat back on his big feet and slid quickly down the hill. He said brightly, "that was kind of fun." So he found a bigger hill and climbed to the top. This time, with a bit of a jump, he began swooshing down the hill faster and faster, zigging this way and that. "Wow, this is fun!" And then he continued to slide for an hour or more. Finally, Leo got a little tired and thought, maybe there are more things that I can do by myself. He looked around and decided what he could do. He rolled a ball of snow and then several more. He put them all together and built the biggest snow bunny that had ever been built in the forest. Boy, was that fun. Leo went home later that afternoon, a tired but very happy rabbit. He played like this for days and days, building snow bunnies, sliding down the hills, and once or twice he just laid in the snow, waving his arms, making funny figures. And he was playing like this one morning. He noticed a small green shoot peeping through the snow. He looked around, and sure enough, there were little shoots all over the place. "It must be the beginning of spring," he shouted gleefully. Sure enough, Leo had been making so much fun, he didn't know that spring had sprung. As he watched in quiet amazement, the flowers began to bloom, and the snow softly melted. Leo spent most of the spring and part of the summer telling the other creatures about the wonderful time he had during the winter, playing by himself. By telling them of his adventures, it was almost as if they spent the winter playing with him. And though he played with all the animals whenever he could, once in a while, Leo would go off alone and play by himself. So when you're all alone and there is nothing to do, remember Leo's lesson, for you can always play with you. The end. Up, Up, Down by Robert Munsch. Anna climbed up the refrigerator. She went up, 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 fall down on her head. Anna said, "Ouch, ouch, ouch." Her mother said, "Be careful, don't climb." Anna climbed up her dresser. She went up, 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 and fall down on her tummy. Anna said, "Ouch, ouch, ouch." Her father said, "Be careful, don't climb, go play outside." So Anna went outside to the tree. She went up, 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 and she fell down on her bottom. Anna said, "Ouch, ouch, ouch." But the next time she was very careful. She went up, up, up to the top. Anna yelled, "I am the king of the castle." Her mother said, "Anna, Anna, 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 get out of that tree." And Anna said, "Nope, nope, 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 nope." So her mother climbed up the tree. She went up, 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 fall down, and landed on her head. Ouch, 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 ouch. Anna yelled, "I'm the king of the castle." Her father said, "Anna, Anna, 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 get out of that tree." And Anna said, "Nope, nope, 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 nope." So her father climbed up the tree. He went up, 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 and fell down and landed on his bottom. Ouch, 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 ouch. Anna's mother cried, "Wah!" And Anna's father cried, "Wah!" And Anna climbed down, 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 and got 2 enormous Band-Aids. Anna wrapped a Band-Aid around her mother's head. Wrap, 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 wrap. Anna wrapped a Band-Aid around her father's bottom. Wrap, 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 wrap. And she said, "Be careful, don't climb." The end. Okay, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Have a great day.